and precise about her movements. They sort of have a little bit more lenience with the buffalo, not being able to run as fast as the impala. It really is a great day, of course, for these lions to perform a hunt, just because of the weather conditions, because of the wind. It's not quite a gentle breeze, it's quite windy, and of course it's nice and overcast. I think Andrew wants to try and sneak out of here. Let's see what he's going to do. He's going to see if he needs me to reposition. I think he's going to take a sneaky way around. So what I'm going to do in a moment is I'm actually going to move forward, because I see that there's another vehicle that is dying to get in here and have a better view. So we'll just wait for Andrew to keep moving, and then I will reposition, which will then allow this other vehicle to come in from behind us. It is situated quite high up, so we can often see above small fallen shrubs. Oh, I'm feeling a couple of raindrops now. Jody, you said that the lions need a 6-pack of antelope to feed them. You're quite right. Maybe even a 12-pack or a case. I'm not sure though. Whether they're actually going to go after these impala, I'm not convinced. There's not enough of them have really shown interest. They're curious, they're looking at them, and they're excited by the fact that there are impala around. But like I said, it's a difficult meal, and do they run the risk of attempting to chase their prey and burn through quite a large amount of energy, or do they wait for something more substantial like a buffalo or a zebra or a kudu? Even the cubs haven't really shown too much interest. Ooh, those drops are getting bigger now. Seems as though there's a little nimbostratus cloud coming overhead. Those are typically rain clouds, but I think it's just a low-flying cloud. I don't know how long it's going to last. Like I said, it's not much rain. It's gone from spitting to actual droplets. Hello, little one. I don't know what that little one is even watching. I don't think it can see the impala from where it's sitting. Yes, chase that fly. I've been hearing elephants distress calling quite severely, but it sounds like it's in one of the drainage lines near Nyala North. And we heard it from earlier this morning, and I wanted to go and investigate, but then of course Taxon managed to find the lions. So we diverted, but I just heard it give a roar again. Now we're going to hang around here for a little bit longer. I think we may at some point have to put the rain covers on. But let's head across to Byron, who has finally found his way back to Djuma.
I have indeed found my way back to Djuma because we just didn't have any luck this morning on cheetah plains. We scanned around and had a look, but didn't see anything, which happens. It happens at times. So we're going to head back. We're almost on Djuma and have a look around and see what else we can find. Maybe we're lucky and we bump into a leopard somewhere. It would be nice to see that beautiful female Karula and her cubs again. Lisa, we do not get tigers in Africa. Tigers are found in India, not out in Africa. And so we've got other... Can you see that bird up there, Dave? Everyone, let's just have a look. I don't know if Dave's able to get there. I heard something. It's a fish eagle. I thought so. African fish eagle. Yes, nice. I heard it give a little call. Oh, wow, everyone. That is great. Fantastic, Dave. Well done. As it flew, I just heard it give or half the call, half of the fish eagle call. I wonder if I can do the fish eagle call. Oh dear. African fish eagle. Something like that, I think. But it sounds much better when they do it, obviously. Yeah. Oh dear, it looks like the rain is coming. Oh, maybe we get to go to the tent. I haven't been to the tent yet. Who knows, if it starts raining harder. This isn't anything serious just yet. Anyway, what a wonderful sighting of the fish eagle. That is a really nice surprise. We do get a lot in this area, but mainly down, I'd say this area within the Sabi Sands, but mainly down around the permanent rivers, like the Sand River, which is south of here. There are a lot of fish eagles around there. I wonder what our list is actually in the last 2 weeks since I've been here, how many birds I've seen. It's been a great birding time, or time for birding rather. William, you trying to add to your bird list? Okay, well, as we're driving along, we'll see how many we can get for you. I hope you added that fish eagle. That was a nice one. See, the birds aren't as active this morning as they usually are, because I think because of this weather, cloudy, overcast. Oh, these brakes are killing me. I thought I heard an interesting bird. There, where is it? There, what is that? Wasn't that It is indeed a black-backed puffback, and is jumping around in these first few branches, leaning towards us. Oh, there it goes! It just flew off, everyone. Little black-back puffback. Unfortunately, it flew off quite quickly. Tayla would ask me if I can do the call of the black-back puffback. Give me a second. Black-backed puffback. Okay, they've got an interesting call, and it sounds something like this. They go. I think that's right. They do. Where's my app? Let me get my app out there. I'm doubting myself a little bit. They do. Hang on, everyone. Let me just get this for you quickly and make sure that I'm right. I don't think I'm wrong. Can you see there's a bit of drizzle starting now? So when we do head back to Tayla shortly, then we'll also get our rain covers on, I think. Let me just quickly find the puffback for you. Black-backed puffback. Oh dear, what do I do there? I'll show you a picture of it too. There. Do you hear that? Very close. That's a little bit more excited. Let me show you a picture. Kirsten says mine was like a slow-mo version. Thank you for that, Kirsten. There we go. It's a black-backed puffback. Beautiful bird. And it does indeed puff the feathers on the back up, hence the name the puffback. Look at that. But now the feathers are white that it puffs up. So it's the back is black, but the feathers, when it does puff them up, are white. It's a black-backed puffback. Try to say that 5 times fast. Alright, so we're going to head back to Tayla with the lions. While I do that, we're going to quickly set up our rain covers and that. So let's see what the lions are up to.
So the Nkuhumas are still fast asleep. They don't seem to be enjoying this miserable day that we're having. All the little cubs still cuddled up together. One is having a little drink. And those impala have sort of moved away, but there's still one lioness, that young lioness that's still watching in the distance. Now we'll probably have to put our rain covers on in the next couple of minutes as well, but we'll let Byron finish putting his on first, because we can't put ours on, obviously, right here with the lions. That'd be a good way to wake them up. And of course, well, they probably won't appreciate that. There we go. You can. Oh no, now they're both grooming themselves. They've lost interest in the impala. But there's still another herd coming. The one herd has crossed now and moved quite far away. But that big herd of impala that we saw just before we got here is still slowly bumbling along the side. Now I'm also going to do my black-back puffback call for you, but I don't know if I can do it here because I might disturb the lions. Now, speaking about all these lovely impala that we've been seeing, and we know that most of the females are pregnant, and they're looking quite rump. So they're not rump, plump, sorry. Change the words there. And they're probably going to give birth soon. Now, I know that Dayton, you were wondering if that makes the female impala less nimble. And I think to a degree it does. They've got those big bulging bellies. I don't think that they can leap as high as they can and run as fast. Well, they're still pretty good at running, but I think they won't be as quick as what they normally are. But they'd still be able to get away from the lions, even with that sort of course I'm doing this in inverted commas, that disadvantage to the females having the big bellies. They're still quicker than the lions if the lions haven't got that element of surprise. Hey, little one, your elbows are still a bit itchy, and you can see that's sort of the areas that are plagued by the mange, is typically around the elbows. That's where it starts, and on their legs. But it looks like it's disappearing. What do you think, Brian? They don't look as dark and mangy as they have been. I haven't seen the lions now. It really does feel like it's been ages. You can see there underneath its paw as well, just cleaning the tail. But I think they're looking very good, and I think it has been all the food that they've been able to feast on. And their immune systems are very, very sort of high and healthy. And that will combat that mange, of course. So that's fantastic. And now what's going to happen is that if they do all survive and they all have clean coats again, that means that they're going to build up an immunity from this mange, which is quite exciting. And that's it. Those are the strongest genes that are supposed to survive. So it was very sad, of course, with the Styx cubs, but they just obviously weren't meant to carry on. And these Nkuhumas have just shown how powerful and how strong they really are. But you know who will be a good gauge is that if we find my little favorite girl, to see how she's doing. because she had it the worst, so I think she'll be the best judge. And if she's looking as great as the others, well, how fantastic will that be? I think I will probably jump for joy. All squeezing in to try and find the teat that has the most milk. Oh, and that's the little one too that has the nick out of its ear. Can you see it? It's also healing quite nicely, because at one point it was spewing a little bit of blood, but it seems as though it's closing up, and I'm sure it will have a little notch out of the side of its ear, but it obviously nothing serious. This one will definitely come out a survivor. Look how she's stretching her legs and stretching her toes. Did you see how she pushed the pads between her feet open? That was quite funny. You know what it's like when you wake up in the morning and you do a big stretch. You stretch your arms out. When you're laying on bed, you flex your feet as one, and it always feels so great. But she's had enough of that now. Poor little lions. Where's my friend? Well, that's a clever spot to go and lay under a couple of trees, because if it does start to drizzle, at least they'll have some shelter. But I think that the spitting that we're getting at the moment doesn't really matter. I don't even think we need to put our rain covers on. Those big drops have now subsided. Hello, Mom. Oh, you're very itchy still. Oh, look at the wound that she has on her leg. Can you see that? It almost looks like it's a bite mark. I don't know if you saw on that lioness's right sort of elbow. It looks like there's a hole of some sort. Now, obviously, like we've been saying, we don't know what always causes these injuries. We can only speculate. But that looks like quite a deep wound. It does look like a tooth mark. Now, Donald, you were wondering, where are all the males? Now, I'm not sure where the male lions are at. I know that they had one set of tracks. It seems as though crossing east over Cheetah Cut Line, perhaps into Torchwood. We know we saw Mr. Mfumo with one of the Styx lionesses the other afternoon. So perhaps he's still with her, mating with her, around Cheetah's side. Because I think Byron would have picked up on any lion tracks if he did see them on the boundary. He wouldn't have missed them if they were sitting on the road. Oh, now those drops are coming back again. I spoke too soon. So perhaps those lion tracks that were seen this morning, those male lion tracks going east into Torchwood, that was possibly, of course, Mr. Tinyor's footprints. And now, speaking of suckling, as we've been chatting, and how these cubs are getting older and they're going to stop suckling fairly shortly, just the youngest ones, that their mom will still be producing a little bit of milk. Justin, you were wondering if I thought that humans could drink lion milk. I reckon they probably could. Whether it would taste nice or not, I'm not sure. I don't know if I would drink lion milk, though. And good luck to the person who'd ever want to try and milk a lion too. I think that would be very brave and probably quite silly to do. I don't think they would appreciate us doing that. So I'm not sure. I've never heard of anybody doing it. I don't think there's anybody brave enough to take on that challenge. You can see these little ones are waking up, and I've seen my little floppy-eared girl. She's also decided to wake up now. She's still got her floppy ear. But she's even looking a lot better. You remember how she had so much mange all over her ears? Well, there's still a bit on her left ear, but they're starting to look better. The right ear seems to be recovering quite nicely. The hair is starting to grow again. She's looking lovely. She's looking much better. So I told you, you've got to have a positive mindset. You've got to feed the animals positive vibes all the time. Otherwise, if you're negative about them, well, then I suppose how can they be confident about their own appearance? I think she's looking lovely, and I think she's going to come out of this 100%. However, I reckon if this had to have happened in the summer months, so sort of in February, I think it would have been a different outcome. Now, speaking about this, Jenny, you're asking if I think the rain can help the mange, possibly in cleaning them. But like I said, I think if this had happened, if these cubs had got the mange in, say, February, when we normally would have had quite a bit of rain and the grass would have grown and the animal sort of herds would have split up, I don't know if these cubs would have come and survived the mange as well as what they've done now. Maybe they could have, but I think they would have been sort of infected with it sort of way more. And the reason for that is because they wouldn't have been eating as much. The herds of animals disappear. It becomes more difficult because the bush is greener. So the lions don't blend into the vegetation as well as they do in the yellow season, of course the winter months, the dry season. And I think that they probably maybe would have lost a cub or two to it. But thank goodness that it happened now. And they obviously are building an immunity against it and fighting it off. And that's you can really only say thank you to the wonderful lionesses who are fantastic huntresses. Well, they all seem to be moving to get a bit of shelter, but it's not really proper rain. It's sort of just spitting. Like I said, the odd nimbostratus cloud is coming over us, spitting down, and then it clears, and then another small cloud comes. They've completely lost interest though now in those impala. They've moved off. Both lionesses have moved back. Here comes the last one. Also going straight underneath all the different trees. And I just love the way that they're so excited to see each other all the time. And it just shows that that unity that they have between the different members is just incredible. Going in for a groom. See it, all that mange is clearing up now. The hair is starting to grow back. This is really, really wonderful. Practicing the jugular hold. Don't do that to Mom. That's not very nice. No, of course, no, these lionesses get less and less tolerant, of course. But she's still bigger and stronger than the cubs, so she can just sort of bowl them all over by licking them. Well, that's a bit cheeky, grabbing onto a very soft piece of skin and now tugging. And you can see that they do have a lot of loose skin on them at the moment. I'm talking about the adults, of course. And that's because they aren't as sort of fat as what they normally are, which is unusual. And of course, they've got to have all that extra skin so that when they do gorge themselves, they are able to sort of stretch their stomachs out as much as they can. No, little one, you've got to lick Mom, not the tree. You go, Mom reaching the belly. Looks like she's picking out some ticks now. And she'll sort of comb through the hair with her little teeth in front between her canines. And then she'll pull all those ticks off. No, don't lick the tree, lick Mom. Obviously that cub is enjoying this. There we go, that's nice. Repay the favor. And of course you can see these cubs, they just can't help themselves. They lick, 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 and then they turn it into a killing strategy of trying to bite and pull at the skin, bite the ears, and I'm sure those little claws are coming out as well, hooking into Mom's face. Sounds like these elephants are getting closer. Still a bit far away, but they're definitely moving around in the drainage line below us. So possibly they're making their way here. And, well, they'll get a surprise, or the Nkuhumas will get a surprise, I suppose. That little one must have lots of ticks on it. Not big ticks, though, they're just small ones. There we go. You can actually see how she pulled one out. There's a little black speck on its stomach, and I think that was a tick. Can you see that? Oh, you can see all the ticks now on that little one's tummy. that's what Mom is trying to get rid of. And sometimes, even though they've got all those hard bristles on their tongue, sometimes that's just not enough to remove the parasites. Like I said, so she uses those front teeth like a little comb and then bites them and pulls them out. Yeah, little one, you're not doing a good job at grooming. This is lovely. Now, Clay was asking this morning, how many lions is it that takes care of the various cubs? So Clay, it's all of them really. In this particular pride, 3 of the lionesses have had cubs. The youngest female didn't. Amber Eyes hasn't had cubs yet either. But even though 2 of them haven't had cubs, you will often see them sort of taking care of these young cubs, whether it's by grooming them or just playing with them. So they all have a role in raising their cubs, even if it's not their own. But of course, Mom will show preference to her own cubs. But she'll even allow some of the other cubs to come and suckle from her too. The little one's got distracted now and found a stick to chew on, and I'm sure that lioness is appreciating that. They're growing up so quickly. It's just incredible to see the sort of difference. And I think it would be quite nice if you put a little collage or something together of what these little Nkuhumas used to look like when they first came out to what they look like now. I think that would be quite nice. But I think unfortunately we're going to have to head out of the sighting. I think there's a couple more guides that want to come and see them, but it's been absolutely wonderful as usual. But let's go back across to Byron and see how his chilly morning is going.
I'm doing fine, thank you, Tayla. I'm getting a little bit wet, not too bad just yet. Just a light drizzle, but the animals do seem to be hiding away from us a little bit. They're not enjoying this weather, or the change rather. We may still find something interesting, who knows. Actually wanted to find out. Now there was where was it? Maybe it was further down. There was a community nest spider web that we saw around here a few weeks ago, about almost 2 weeks ago. Found one that had a bird nest inside it. There were little bee eaters. No, not bee eaters, I'm lying. Little sunbirds that were nesting inside this spider web, but I think it was further down the other side of this road. We'll definitely try to check it in a few days and see if those chicks are still inside, because there were little chicks in there, which was interesting. It's amazing how the weather affects the animals' movements, and they do tend to go and look for shelter. There's some impala dotted around. Every now and then I get a glimpse, and if you have a look, there's actually some off to our right. Here we go. It's very peaceful. If you listen carefully, you might be able to hear the raindrops on my cap and on the rain covers that we've got on. I can hear a wildebeest calling off in that direction, everyone. We can't see him. Probably about 100 meters away or so. They do that wonderful, like a strange snorting sound. It's usually an alarm call, or if males are fighting with one another or challenging each other for territory. I think that's pretty accurate. Is that not good? Oh dear. Maybe it's too early for my animal calls. Cheryl from Oregon, you asked if I could be any animal in Africa, what would I be? I think I'd be a honey badger, Cheryl. I love honey badgers. They're fascinating little creatures, and they're tough. They're not afraid of anything. They're tenacious. They just fantastic little creatures, and I think I'd like to be a honey badger. It could be quite fun. That or maybe a big old elephant, a big elephant bull. That could also be quite cool. So one of those two, I would say, but preferably, I think first choice would be a honey badger. I haven't seen any leopard tracks anywhere this morning while we've been driving. Been looking around. Actually drove past that area just where we saw Tingana yesterday, that big male leopard. A magnificent cat, a beautiful big tom. That's what we call a big male leopard, a tom. And but obviously he moved off, and I couldn't really see which direction he went, but it was so Oh, you know what, everyone? There's a red-crested Korhann calling just behind me in that direction. Let's just see if we can maybe find it quickly. Let's have a look. They're the ones who do those beautiful aerial displays. So if we can find it, that would be great. Maybe we're lucky and it displays for us. Hang on a second. Let's have a look here quickly. All right. Now, I did this before, and I learned this from a tracker I used to work with. And he would sometimes sit and tap on the bonnet when we got close to these red-crested Korhanns, and occasionally they'd react to it, because part of their call is it sounds like a tapping sound in the beginning of their call, and then they do this wonderful whistle. And let's just listen out and hear if we can see it. But often what we would do is try and tap on the bonnet a little bit, and these birds would sometimes react to us and either do the aerial display or come and have a look and investigate. So let's see. If it's close enough, it might hear us. Let's hear. Can't see it, but it was in these bushes. It could have been a little bit further in. Not interested in calling again. Let's just listen for another few seconds. No, doesn't look like it's interested in coming out for us now. and obviously it's going to keep quiet. Murphy's Law, isn't it? But they are beautiful birds, and they do this wonderful aerial display. They shoot up into the air, they take off, they fly up very, very, well, not that high, but quite a few meters up into the sky. And what they do is they stop flapping their wings, and they actually roll in the air, almost doing a backflip in the air, and they roll around, and then they come back and they parachute back down to the ground. It's an incredible aerial display. There it goes. Isn't that it there? Running across there we go. There it goes, the red-crested Korhann. Yeah, okay, let's see, everyone. Maybe it came to investigate. Let's see where it's going. I can still see it. Let's see if it will do a display for us. It's just off to the left. It's picking away at some seeds, perhaps, or insects. Okay, let's see. There it is. Okay, I'm going to tap again. Let's see if it reacts. There it is, Dave, just running on the ground. There it goes. I'm going to go left more. There he goes. Just walking through there we go. Little red-crested Korhann. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that, everyone. But this one doesn't seem to be too interested in us. Well, at least we got to see it. So, I wasn't making it up. It was here. And as that Korhann runs away, let's head back to Tayla, and she's got some more elephant to show you.
Not only do I have some elephants, and this is not going to be my main focus, I've got the black cuckoo shrike. It's calling here, and I saw it. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen a black cuckoo shrike before. I haven't seen one in years, so I'm quite keen to try and find it. So let's look for it. It just flew over us, and we're going to sit. It's behind us, and I need to turn around. Sorry, elephants, they were disappearing into the... It's up. I think it's up here somewhere. Oh, there it is. You see on the tree in the distance, it's just flying. Behind this one, at the back, down there. Okay, it's flying. There it goes. You see it? Down there. Let's go find it. We're chasing after a black cuckoo shrike. No, it flew across. There it is. It's landed up there. Okay, I've got it. Yes, that was it. If you saw that little black thing. I'm going to stop far away. Can you see it up there, Brian? There it is. Black cuckoo shrike, red mouth, yellow wings, yellow spots on the wing. Now this is the male. The female's quite pretty. I'll show you a photo of her. I want to actually try and go a little bit closer. Let's try and sneak closer. I hope it's not going to fly away. Don't fly away. I'm going to just try and keep on it. They're quite shy birds, but that's incredible. I'm so glad that we've seen a black cuckoo shrike. Now let us know, have any of you ever seen this? I'm sure this is going to be a new bird for some of you. Still sitting there. Don't fly, little birdie, don't fly. We want to try and get a good view. The females are quite pretty as well. They're a little bit more green and yellow, but of course, I think I showed you a photo yesterday morning, and they've got the black barring with the yellow and a bit of green tinge sort of on their bodies too. Where have you gone? You're just jumping. Now we should see the wing spots. You see that yellow little spot there? That's fantastic. I was wondering at one point if I was going a bit crazy because I'd never seen them in the area. And off it goes. Yay! I'm so happy finally, after I heard it. Like I said, I that is a bird that I'm really sort of know quite well. And I said to you, it brings back fond memories of the Eastern Cape. You used to see them everywhere, almost as common as a fork-tailed drongo. So that's really lovely to see. Like I said, now we've seen the male. We need to try and find a female, and they're really, really beautiful. So that'll be my next challenge. But these Ellies have come out now. Let's see if we can get a better view of them. That was perfect. Right, we're going to have a look. I'm just going to position ourselves. James has asked a fantastic question this morning with regards to the name of the cuckoo shrike and how does it get it. I'm going to actually have to get out my app on my phone and have a little look, so we shall do that. I don't need to play the call again. I'm not sure, but we will read very quickly while we look at that beautiful elephant. I'm just going to have a look. So it does tell you a little bit about, of course, their names. Hello, Ellies. Now, let's see down here. Oh, nothing yet. They're not. Let me go back, actually. You know what I might have to do is I've got a really good book back in my room that explains where they get their names from. Now, I might have to read that and tell you, because I'm not sure. I don't think they're related to cuckoos. I don't know if they parasitize or are parasitized by any birds. Let me just double check. Hello, beautiful wool. They're all walking past us. Isn't this amazing? And we did hear some elephants screaming and shouting, but I don't think that it's them because they seem to be very relaxed by us. Okay, so James, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back to your question this afternoon. I'm going to do a bit of research and see what I can dig up about the names of this thing. I keep hearing a shouting noise, but I don't know what it is. That didn't sound very elephant-like. Maybe. It sounded very much like a dinosaur. It feels as though we're in Jurassic Park this morning, but I think it's quite a big herd of elephants moving through here and around us. So maybe it's a youngster throwing a tantrum. Yes, it's very much Jurassic Park-like. What's going on? Let's go and investigate what's happening. So I don't know what's going on there. It seems like it's one elephant that's slightly riled up about something. But cheers, chaps and young boys that pass the vehicle. They're moving off. There's a little calf running away. Oops, sorry. You can see that little one's got its tail raised away from its body. Its ears slightly also sort of flared out. So perhaps this is the one that's making all the noise. Now it's running. Maybe it got left behind. I'm not sure why it's making such a racket. Yes, it's that one making all the noise. We'll go forward so we can see if we can get a view of it. They're making all these strange noises. What's wrong, little Ellie? It's not little. When I say little, it's probably older than 8 years, maybe even 10 years old. There it is. You can just see it, just a tiny little glimpse of it in the distance behind all the bushes. You can see it. Settle down, little one. Well, it must be relaxing now, the fact that it started eating. And there's another little one racing over towards it, just coming from the other side. Maybe going to comfort it, I don't know. I wonder why that little one was so upset. It's okay. Maybe it will settle down now that it's found the bulk of the herd. There's actually quite a few elephants in there. Now that sounds like a younger elephant throwing a tantrum because mom won't let it suckle. You can see them moving further and further into the drainage line now, perhaps to get out of the wind. It's amazing. We always see such different things when we come out on drive and hear different things too. Now, hello, His Stigness. I'm wondering, I haven't heard your name before. Perhaps you're a new viewer. If you are, welcome. Now, you're wondering if elephants are a nuisance to the locals. Now, they can indeed be. Sorry, my eye is watering slightly this morning for my wonderful hay fever that I have. Brian and I are both suffering from hay fever, sneezing and doing all sorts of things this morning. Now, in this area, it's not so bad. We've got obviously these massive fences around 8.5 million acres of land. So that tends to keep the elephants out of the community lands, and well, we try to keep the humans out of the elephants' land, that type of thing. So places like Zambia, and I can just talk about Zambia because I worked there, they were a huge problem. And the reason being is because there was no fence at all. So you have the national parks, and then you have these game management areas just on the outside of the national parks where you've got more lodges and the animals can move around in. Then, outside of that, after those game management areas, you get the big villages that are growing maize and all types of different crops. And of course, during the drier seasons, when there's nothing left to eat, the elephants all move towards them and they destroy crops, and of course it's a bit of a pest. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze again. Am I going to sneeze? No, it's gone. I made it disappear. Sorry about that. So yes, they can indeed be big pests. But they're trying different things to try and combat the problem. It seems like all the elephants have disappeared now. Well, they're pushing something down in the distance. And there were different techniques. I know while I was up there, they were trying to grow chilies in the area, and they said that would deter the elephants, and it worked to a certain extent. And eventually the elephants just learnt and plowed through that. The only effective way and thing that they can do is that they've put a proper electrified game fence up around their crops to try and keep the elephants out. And so I know quite a few of the owners of the various lodges were trying to assist the locals in doing that. And the reason why it was quite good to do that is because unfortunately the locals would retaliate and try and chase elephants with spears and things like that, and then of course the elephant would just get hurt in the process. We don't want that at all. So people are trying and find ways that we can come to terms to try and look after the locals trying to produce produce, which of course they have a right to get upset, because that's how a lot of them are making their money, is by growing various crops and then of course selling them, and also to feed themselves. Again, I've got another stick under the vehicle. That's stick number 665 for today. Get out. You're not welcome. Just Brian and the thumb and myself that are allowed in the vehicle. It seems so managed to get rid of it. Sometimes you get lucky and you're able to do the reversing trick and then out goes the stick. Sometimes not. And you have to crawl underneath the vehicle in order to remove it. Right. So I haven't really got a plan now. We're just going to carry on and see what we bump into along the way. Now, of course, I got severely distracted by that Cuckoo Shrike. Oh my goodness, it's another stick. Lots of sticks. Now, James, you were saying when we clean the vehicles, what type of wildlife do we find in them? You want to know if we find any snakes. Now, thankfully, no snakes just yet, but I must tell you a very funny story about, and I'll get back to your question, but you've just reminded me of something. So, the other evening, I've been telling you, you know how hot it's been here the last couple of nights, and it's been so humid. So we went off to Inga's where Brent and Jamie stay, and we all had a swim, which was just before we went to bed, just to cool ourselves down, and it was lovely. We were all joking around, and the next minute Byron shouts, "Snake! Snake!" Everybody starts panicking, getting these torches to try and see where the snake is. And of course, Brian and I were just sitting on the side having a good chuckle, because we weren't swimming. We had our feet in the pool though, and having good laughs, thinking that it's going to be this monster snake that's coming towards them. I kid you not, it was a snake about that big. It was the tiniest little snake you've ever seen in your entire life, not even the length of a ruler, not even probably half the length of a ruler, and they were all squealing like little girls, these big strong men. And we had a good chuckle about that. And eventually we got the pool scoop and we scooped it out and we set it free. I still actually haven't worked out what snake it was just yet. We have a video, but we haven't got around to identifying it just yet. But that was quite funny. So James, to get back to your question, most of the things that we find are actually insects. So from dung beetles that have spent the night in the vehicle, to driver ants, to a variety of moth species. Remember that one day I had a collection of moths on the dashboard, so that they sometimes hang around. A couple of praying mantises I've seen, and well, yeah, all sorts of little beetles and things. And lots of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes absolutely love to live in here. So you open the door and you see them fly out, and then you carry on, of course. So that's always quite fun, and you learn about all the various insects. We're going to carry on, and we're going to try and search for something. Perhaps we come across that female cuckoo shrike. But whatever we're going to do next, you'll be able to find out in a little bit. Let's go back across to Byron and see how he's doing.
That is wonderful that Tayla got to find that black cuckoo shrike. That is a bird that you don't often see. So well done, Tayla. That is really, really a nice tick for our birders out there. And I hope she is able to find the female, because it is really beautiful and completely different to the male. So that is wonderful. A nice surprise for the morning. Black cuckoo shrike. That's very cool. We haven't had too much luck, everyone. Just a few impala darting off into the thickets. Staying quite close together again because of the wind and this weather that we're having. But not too much else. Haven't seen any tracks. Haven't heard any alarm calls. Haven't found any elephant. Tayla seems to be having all the luck with the elephant and the lions this morning. I know she was telling you the story about the snake in the pool. I think I saved everyone's life by finding it. No, it was a tiny little one, but we were just sitting, and the next thing this little snake came swimming past. And because it was still quite dark, I could hardly see, and I was having a good look, and there's a snake in the pool. Where's no one got a torch? And eventually we saw what it was, and we got it out and identified it. Nothing too venomous, so we weren't in any danger. But it just shows you do have to be careful out here. We've got to, when we are around, we constantly check for scorpions and snakes. And one of the rules I always tell my guests, or hints rather, is that if you are in the bush and when you're in the camps and wherever, in the mornings when you wake up and you're putting your shoes on, just always tap your shoes, and just to make sure there's nothing that crawled in, because you can get little scorpions and that climbing in at times. So it doesn't matter where you are, just always have a good look. So Jody, you asked, I just missed the beginning, what are out yet? Chameleons. The chameleons are out. We've seen two now in the last week, Jody. We saw one last night. Byron had an amazing spot. He was with me on drive, and he spotted one in a tree, an incredible spot. Nice big flap-necked chameleon sitting in a tree. So we've seen two. James saw one the other night, and then we saw one last night. So slowly but surely starting to see more and more of them getting active. I do think we need a bit more rain though, because obviously the chameleons feed on the insects, and the more insects around, the more chameleons we'll start seeing. So I think when there's a bit more moisture and a bit more rain, we'll probably start seeing more of these reptiles coming out. Snakes, chameleons. Janine, you asked actually, do we come across snakes very often? Not that often, Janine. We do see snakes out here, but we don't actually come across them that often. Now and then, if you're lucky, while you're driving, you'll get one that'll slither across the road, or you might see snake tracks, but mainly in summer. I think we've still got some time before we really start seeing a lot of snake activity, but not that often. Snakes do try and avoid people, and I mean, they pick up on the vibrations of the vehicle and that before we even get close to them. Dory, I do check my shoes every morning. I always tap my shoes when I wake up before I put them on, just to make sure nothing's crawled in, because last thing you want is to be stung on the toe by a scorpion before you go out and game drive. So I do check my shoes. We've got a new viewer, welcome. Your Twitter handle is one stoner, two cats. Well, welcome, it's nice to have you with us. You wanted to know, how do we keep critters from wandering in through the camp at night? So obviously insects and snakes and anything like that, they all come into camp. There's nothing you can do against that. But the other animals like hyena and that, we do have a gate that we close, so that generally keeps animals out of the camp. But you never know, you could still have something wandering around. I woke up this morning quite early, and there was something walking outside my window. I could just hear it. But to be honest, I was quite comfortable in bed, so I didn't actually have a look. But the night before, there was an elephant right outside our windows, and it was breaking some branches and making an awful noise at about 1 o'clock in the morning while we were trying to sleep. The rain is getting a bit harder now. I'm sure you can all hear that. Going to have to swim home. Clay, all the way from Oregon. Clay, you wanted to know, how far do we actually drive on a game drive like this? Do we stay close to the base, or do we end up driving quite far? So Clay, obviously it's a little bit tricky with us because we need the signal, and it's still fascinating that we're able to take you on a live safari and drive around, and that you can still watch from home. But obviously signal is a big thing for us. We are able to traverse over the whole of Tayla, or this Djuma game reserve, which is nice. And then, to be honest, from here all the way or from camp to Cheetah Plains, it's probably a good, I think the furthest we get is maybe 15 kilometers away or so. 15, 20 kilometers, which is about, what's that, 12 or 14 miles, somewhere around there, I would guess. So it's quite a distance that we do drive away from the lodge. I hope my conversions are right there, but I think so. Hey, maybe, yeah, ish. Don't know. Alright, I'm just actually going to head down this road here. Got a feeling we're going to find something exciting. Who knows? Right, while we head down here and look for something exciting, let's head back to Tayla with all her rain covers on.
All our rain covers are on, including my rain cover, of course, as you can see, my lovely black one. Keep me nice and dry. Oh, we've got a Kudu that's looking a little bit on the damp side. There she is. Hello, girl. Oh, a whole family of damp Kudu. Try and sneak up to them. Hey, guys. No, don't run away. Well, you can see that lovely flash of white that they have underneath their tail. And a young male, of course, you can see they're just getting a little bit wet. Oh, the one at the back looks quite wet. Or is that, what is that? Is that mange or is that just water? No, just water. An interesting color, this one. You know, it doesn't look like it's got the greatest skin condition, unfortunately. Seems to be a little bit on the dark side. Maybe a little bit itchy, but that's what happens, of course, as we've been chatting about, is when the immune systems of the various animals are lowered and well, for particularly the herbivores, it's quite tough. But I don't know what that was. It was quite unusual. Lovely family, just munching away though. I've already seen the impalas starting to sit down. There's a common duiker. Sorry, I've just spotted a little common duiker moving through the thicket. Off it goes. And I think that these guys are probably going to move into the thicker vegetation. Now the drops are getting a little bit harder than what they normally, or what they have been this morning. And you'll find that the Kudu may even go and have a sit down too, and perhaps ruminate. A little one. He's beautiful. He's obviously very young though. He's probably almost only about 2 years old. You've still got a long way to go, and of course that oxpecker is having a meal, and I'm sure is keeping nice and warm, huddled up against that, that little Kudu. You see how it sort of did a bit of a leap and it caught something. Maybe it was a tick trying to make an escape. You will not escape ticks. That oxpecker is on you. Oh, something gave them a fright. I don't know if you saw a couple of them sort of darted and jumped away. And that, of course, is a natural reaction if they think that something is there as they're moving around in the bushes. Especially when you're young, you will leap away from that area. And it's beautiful boy looking back at us. Bye-bye, oxpecker. Even the oxpecker has said, right, that's enough rain for me, I'm out. Now we're seeing all sorts of strange patterns on these beautiful Kudu. Now, sinful butterfly, you were wondering if those were scratches. I'm wondering, I don't think you're talking about the white stripes that they have, but you can see running horizontally across those stripes, it looks like there's a bit of a scratch. Possibly. Their skin isn't as tough as the skin of a rhino or a buffalo or even an elephant, and often when they walk through the thicker vegetation, when the thorns sort of run through their coat, and now that they're a bit damp too, it leaves a funny pattern on their hair. But just in case you are maybe talking about those white stripes, those are called disruptive markings. And you'll see that different animals have got different ways to try and camouflage themselves, to try and hide themselves away. And it's a very nice combination that a Kudu has. A Kudu has got a darker grey neck compared to the rest of their body. And then it sort of turns to be a light brown with those white stripes on them. And that helps break up the solid shape of those Kudu. And they're able to blend into the vegetation. Like you can see there's a Kudu standing at the back, just behind the two that we're looking at. Look how well camouflaged it is. You can just sort of see it when it starts to move. But you can see clearly how those white stripes make it blend into the trees and the leaves a little bit better. I think they are just a bit damp. But that one's just got much darker colouring on it. It almost looks like it's a male, like the colouring of a male Kudu. Quite interesting. Isn't this lovely? But I think let's continue from here. Let's see what else this road has got for us. I saw a bird in the distance. I can go and see which bird it was. I couldn't quite identify it from over here. Now I must remind you, if you do see a little cloth coming across your screen, it's just Byron cleaning and making sure that the raindrops aren't disturbing your view. Oh my goodness, well, I'm not going to be able to find out what bird that is because I have a roadblock that I need to move off of the road. So while I do this, let's go back across to Byron, who has got an elephant.
Just as I thought, everyone. Remember I said we're going to find something exciting, and we found a young male elephant. I'm very happy because you all know how much I enjoy elephant and love spending time with them. And you can hear the rain is getting a bit harder again. This light drizzle, bit of rain, but it's, it looks like it's here to stay for a while, judging by the clouds around us. And if we just look behind this elephant and look at that cloud cover, another ominous morning in the African bush. Patty Poop, you wanted to know if the elephant dung makes for good fertilizer, and it does. I think if you the one thing about elephant dung though is that it isn't broken down very well. So to be honest, it probably wouldn't be the best fertilizer. I think if you got some other dung from antelope species in it, and maybe buffalo, that would probably make better fertilizer. But the elephant dung is very coarse, because all the plant material that they feed on, a lot of it moves straight through their body. They only absorb about 30% of the food that they feed on and the nutrients. So elephant dung is very coarse and made up of a lot of grass and plant material. So it would probably make some good fertilizer if you add it to a garden, but I would probably go for antelope dung or buffalo dung that's broken up even further. That would probably make better fertilizer. Really enjoying that bush. That little tree that he's feeding on. I'm hoping he decides to come a little bit closer. Wouldn't that be nice? I do love it when these elephants walk up to the vehicle and close to us. Yeah, this rain is starting to come down a little bit harder now. Wonderful. I can hear another elephant in the distance, everyone. I just heard another low grumble, but it was probably about 60 or 70 meters away from us, just behind this elephant. You can't see it. I've looked around, can't see it at all. But there's definitely another elephant or two hiding in there, maybe another male. Often these young males do end up spending time together and forming these small groups. Look how he's feeding a branch in the face and trying to pull the leaves off. Well, it's been a wonderful morning. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Sako, you wanted to know if animals become more active when it's raining or less active, and it's hard to say. I do think that in weather like this, it probably doesn't affect them too much. They'll still move around and continue with whatever it is they need to do, drink, feed, and that's basically it. But if it rains heavily, then they'll definitely go and look for a bit of shelter and try and move out of the heavy rain. But some animals will still stand out. I mean, we need to remember that these animals have adapted to the climatic conditions which we receive around here. Look at those nails on the elephant. But I think in general the weather definitely affects the animals in some way, and we've seen it a bit this morning. We've been driving around. We haven't seen too much. It's been a little bit quieter for us. Tayla's been lucky. She's seen some elephant and the lions. I managed to find the lions, so that's great. But it does change, and I've seen predators moving around in rain like this. The other thing that does happen is sometimes the predators enjoy hunting in weather like this because the rain will mask their sound and their smell if they're stalking prey. So a lot of animals or predators do enjoy hunting in weather like this, especially if it rains a little bit harder. Often we would find leopard and that moving around and hunting, and then probably finding them with a kill after a nice big storm because they were able to hunt in the rain. So I think we're going to leave this beautiful elephant. Lovely to see a nice male, and he's going to enjoy his breakfast. I think what we're going to do is we're going to head back and try to find breakfast for ourselves. Thank you everyone for a great morning. Hope you've enjoyed it with us. Thank you to Dave on camera, and from myself, a goodbye. We'll see you this afternoon. We're going to head back to Tayla, and she'll end off the show and maybe tell you something a little interesting for the last few minutes. Goodbye everyone.
Byron, you must have a telepathic connection. You won't believe what I just saw. It was so quick. As I got to the tree that I wanted to move off of the road, I heard these birds alarm calling like crazy. They were all shouting, from the starlings to I don't even know what was in there, the preniers. They were all shouting at something. So I stopped and I stared and I stared, and I thought that maybe it was a snake, and out burst a serval. I got a quick glimpse of it, and then it carried on running. I think because there's also a herd of elephants around here, and that it was obviously quite startled, and it just kept running into the bushes, and unfortunately we couldn't get a shot of it. It happened so quickly, but it was so nice because that was the first serval that I'd seen since I'd been here, and it was quite amazing. I was just sad that we didn't get to have a look at it, but we tried. We kept looking around, but now that we know that there's one hanging around in the area, it might be worth sort of coming around and carry on checking these areas. They're quite territorial, so that was very exciting. It was just a quick glimpse. I couldn't even tell you if it was a male or a female, a big one or a small one. I just saw the beautiful markings of this sort of spotted striped cat. It was absolutely stunning, and of course that bright yellow coloration on them really stood out in of course the bush. Now I believe I owe you a bird call. I owe you the call of a blackback puffback, and I couldn't do that call unfortunately in the lions because, well, I think it would have disturbed them a bit too much, especially those little cubs. So here it goes. Whew. Right, are you ready? Now you're probably going to have to vote and let us know who did the better blackback puffback call. But it seems as though, speaking of birds, all the birds are settling in now and are sitting under the shrubs because this rain is getting a little bit heavier. We're coming down to the final minute of the show. We're just taking a little bumble just to see perhaps if we never know what we could bump into around here. But it's been such a wonderful morning, even though it's been a bit colder than normal. I definitely enjoyed it. And my highlight, and I'm sure you guessed it, was not seeing the Nkuhumas today, as much as I love them, but it was finally finding that black Cuckoo Shrike. So, woohoo, to me, I'm so happy. Now I can add another different bird to my list up here in the Lowveld. I hadn't had that. Now, thank you very much to Kirsty and Lou in Final Control. And I hope James had a good morning, resting, sleeping. Hopefully he's still sleeping sound. We'll catch you again this afternoon for the Sunset Safari. From myself, Brian and the Thumb, it's been a pleasure.